years, respectable workers and dedicated anarchists. They were attempting to dispose of some anarchist leaflets when they were arrested on a charge of armed robbery and murder. Their names were Nicola Sacco and Bartolomeo Vanzetti.
Oh, Sacco Vanzetti, oh, Sacco Vanzetti, Sacco Vanzetti, I just want to sing your name.
The state's evidence was flimsy, and the witnesses for the prosecution gave confused and contradictory testimony. Sacco and Vanzetti proclaimed their innocence, but they were convicted and sentenced to death. Appeal after appeal was denied. The case became an international cause. Marches and defense efforts were organized worldwide.
But on August 23, 1927, the state of Massachusetts, which had condemned Sacco and Vanzetti as violent and dangerous men, mobilized 500 heavily armed policemen to suppress protests and electrocuted the two Boston anarchists.
Liberi da schiavi più non si piegheranno, fin l'ultimo respiro si ribelleranno, ma poi ancora nuovi tiranni sorgeranno, finché nel mondo dittatori vivranno.
I am a believer in freedom, but of a special kind. I am an anarchist, and we anarchists believe in freedom from the state, from religion, from all authority. Everybody gets so used to obey some authority or other that they come to think that without the government they cannot live. And when they hear the anarchists saying that you must be the ruler of yourself, you must be the master of yourself, you must be able to organize your own life without the authority of the government, they think that the anarchists are crazy, and naturally they get scared, getting the notion that without the shepherd to lead the sheep, it would be chaos, confusion, anarchy.
You just described the reality, how the state has kind of grown to be this monster. And you've been an anarchist, you deserted the army, 64 years old. You mentioned before that they're the last of a generation of anarchists. What's your feeling about that? I mean, do you feel like you represent the kind of generation of anarchism and radicalism that's gone?
Oh no, anarchism will always be the same. There might be variation between one anarchist and the other anarchist according to the generation in which they live. But the principle is there.
What about your generation of anarchists? I mean,
well, our generation of is all dead, but not the principle. The principle that we had 3 generations ago is the same. They are the same principle today.
Do you see people now carrying on?
We still, we want the people to be able to rule themselves, and the new generation has the same principle. There is no difference between the other one. The only thing that our generation was a generation of hungry people, hungry working people, peasant, hungry worker. Why now today, even the working people, in the at least in the industrial cities, in the industrial nation, they live better than the bourgeois of our generation were living.
anarchy begins with the mind, and American minds for generations have been programmed totally the opposite direction.
Well, okay, the film we're doing, at least at this point, is called Anarchism in America. Now, where do you think you fit into this film?
We fit into this film because we, in our own way, are trying to break down rules, like be them not just written laws, but mental laws, social mores, and American attitudes that have slowly turned this into one of the greediest countries in the world.
Not to try and over-categorize, but what are you trying to do, with your music?
The bottom line, in America at least, is we like to get people to think for themselves. We don't come out and say, this is our opinion, think like us or it's not cool. No, what we're saying is, this is our opinion, judge it for what you will, but for Christ's sakes, have an opinion.
Welcome to 1984. Are you ready for the Third World War? You won't meet the secret police. They'll draft you with no draft police. You'll go private to boot camp. But since you get it, then you are bad. Put your brain in for a
Anarchy in this country is going to be very, very hard to make it work. It'll take literally long after we're all dead.
I don't believe that one can practice anarchism in this society. I believe it would be utterly illusory to contend, say, that a food co-op can replace general, Grand Union, or that a so-called People's Bank, to use a concept of Proudhon, who is supposed to have been an anarchist, could replace Chase Manhattan. Nor do I think that one can go around living a holier-than-thou ethical life, that essentially amounts to an ongoing guilt trip against other people. I find that it is basically impossible to live a thoroughly anarchist life within a capitalist society. But I do believe this, that one can try to maintain a high ethical standard. And that is one of the beautiful things about anarchism, that it brings ethics into socialism instead of mere science into socialism, such as Marx does. That one can live an ethical life. One can concern oneself personally with what is humane and what I would prefer to call libertarian behavior. One can protest, and one can try to work with projects in which people learn how to take control of their lives, even if in fact they can't do so until there are fundamental social changes. Those are the commitments, I believe, that anarchism seriously poses to the individual. And it raises a very high standard. It is demanding in that respect. It demands that you search into what is a humanistic sensibility and what is a humanistic ethic.